Farming and ranching neighbor, and welcome to the holiday edition of Down on the Farm. I'm Larry Marble. I'm going to take today off courtesy of the good folks at the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network using their program, Texas Farm Bureau Roundup. Enjoy.
This is Farm Bureau Roundup, featuring farm and ranch news from the Panhandle to the Rio Grande Valley and from West to East Texas. Now, from the Texas Farm Bureau Network, here's your host, Tom Nicoletti.
Hello and welcome to Farm Bureau Roundup. The very hot temperatures and excessive humidity across most of Texas have impacted row crops and pastures. Meanwhile, a bipartisan agricultural labor working group will look into the challenges of labor shortages on farms and ranches. And it is time for nominations for the Cattlemen's Beef Board. Here's more.
Hot sunny weather has jump-started grain sorghum harvest here in the coastal band. This is Harvey Buring reporting from the Corpus Christi area.
This is James Duncan in Marshall, and summertime's here. I know you all know that. Holidays are here. I know you know that. Watermelons for the 4th of July are not going to be here. But, hey, they'll be here a little bit later on, and they'll be delicious when they do.
Well, the month of June has certainly been interesting weather-wise, with a lot of excessive heat and humidity across many regions of Texas, and also the storms and hail and tornadoes that have hit small communities across the state, from the Panhandle into the South Plains and into Central Texas. And in Central Texas is Dr. Shane McClellan, who is here with us today to report on how all of this has impacted agriculture in the Central Texas Blacklands.
Yes, sir, Tom. Just some drastic changes kind of in the weather. It seems like anything we do weather-related the last couple of years, it's one extreme to the other. Lately, it's been the heat and humidity, primarily the humidity. I've talked to some old-timers that have said it's the worst humidity they've ever seen in their lifetime. Just day after day of extreme humidity. You go outside and you're just instantly soaked. A lot of our crops are burning down, drying out just from sun. Not a lot of cloud cover. Corn has really dried down fast. Wheat has been harvested. Grain, sorghum, cotton, and the corn being the major crops that are out in the field right now. We've got a few soybeans around, but all of them are suffering a little bit from the just hot and the humidity.
What about the pastures out there for grazing conditions?
Grazing conditions are better than I would expect them to be. Those rains that we received in the month of April and into May have really helped carry our grass into the hot part of the year. We didn't have a lot of grazing early on, and then we got all those rains. We couldn't get into pastures to cut hay, and then now we've got a lot of grass. Quality's still good. All the cool season annuals are dried down, and our warm season forages are all fairly strong and looking good. They are going to need a rain, as are our crops, here in the near future.
What about hay cuttings in Central Texas, Shane, as farmers are trying to get that stored up for the winter, but with the high temperatures, that may be difficult?
Most producers have cut at least once. Few have cut twice. The hay market right now is kind of deceiving because we received all that rain, but we couldn't get into the fields to cut hay because it would just stay wet, or you couldn't cut and let it dry. And then we finally got a cutting, and then the water shut off to say that it just quit raining. But again, we're going to need some more water later on, and hay prices is still elevated. People were expecting it to come down once we started cutting some hay. It's been dry in a large part of Texas. That's driving that hay price. Is just there's not a lot of hay in storage, and people are trying to rebound from an extremely dry year last year and put some hay back. And it's going to take several cuttings over time, and we're going to have more rain to get to where we need to be in the hay field.
Yes, now that we are into the month of July, certainly more rain will be needed. And the other thing that's going on farming-wise in this region is the silage harvest of corn.
Yes, sir. And with the heat that we've had the last week and days, really dried down the corn crop. We've got a really pretty corn crop this year. Tall plant, a lot of leaf, good feel on the ears. And we could have used a little extra rain about a week ago to help fill out some of those kernels. The guys that are in the solids chopping business, green chop, whatever you want to call it, they've been hustling hard trying to get that crop out as the corn has been drying down. A lot of tonnage, a lot of volume silage. It's going to be a high quality feed for whoever gets it for sure.
Shane, thanks for your report.
Welcome, Tom.
That is Dr. Shane McClellan. He's reporting for us today on farming and ranching activities in Central Texas.
According to the U.S. Wheat Associates, the hard red wheat harvest is moving quickly through Texas, with 62% of the acres completed, and Oklahoma 45% complete in the hot, dry weather. Kansas is 13% harvested as sporadic rains slowed progress. In the Central Plains, combines are expected to roll in southern Nebraska soon, and 2 to 4 weeks in Colorado. Producers are expecting an early to on-time harvest in the northern growing region. Into the Texas coastal bend now, where farmers got an early start on the season's grain sorghum harvest. Harvey Buring reports.
Well, the 1st of July usually starts grain sorghum harvest in the coastal bend, but this year it was the 20th of June when combines started rolling. That hot, dry, sunny weather had maturity of grain sorghum rapidly increasing, and those early planted fields were ready for harvest. So the coastal bend harvesting grain sorghum and not waiting on a rain. The cotton crop here in the coastal bend starting to show a lot of blooms in the tops of cotton patches. They desperately needed rain last week to help hold some of that final blooming fruit up on the top of the cotton plant, and that rain did not occur. It may reduce the production potential on our cotton, particularly the early planted cotton, although that season was elongated by the amount of cotton that had to be replanted. So a good rain at this time really wouldn't create a whole lot of havoc here in the coastal bend. It would benefit cotton crop, may slow down grain sorghum harvest for a few days, but it certainly would benefit the pasture situation. That hot, dry weather has taken a serious toll on pastures, and cattle are grazing brown grass at this time. Conditions of those cattle in the pasture will start to decline. Markets have remained strong with this cattle market, but this hot, dry, continued weather and the decline in pastures are prompting some ranchers to think about gathering those calves, getting them weaned, and sending them to market, benefiting from those high market prices and keeping some body condition on those cows if this hot, dry weather persists into July. Reporting from the coastal bend area for Farm Bureau Roundup, this has been Harvey Buring.
While the grain harvest is early in the coastal region of the state, the watermelons are late in northeast Texas. More now from James Duncan in Marshall.
In the East Texas area, the last couple of weeks have really been rough, and we moved into summertime, and it was summertime. There wasn't no ifs, ands, or betweens, but I'll tell you what, we are proud that spring of 2023 has gone on its way. With everything we've had a couple of weeks ago, it caused lots of damage. We already had some programs planned and things to talk about here, but it all changed when that storm moved through a couple of weeks ago, and farming has been disrupted. And I've talked to several that have lost corn crops as a result of all that went on. They're out there making pictures right now of the damage done on the farms. The second cutting of hay was expected this weekend, so hopefully we'll be able to stay clear where we can get that done, because we'd already been behind on those first cuttings. Most of the people that got a cutting, though, and refertilized have got a forage ready to cut due to all the moisture that we had. That grass still kept growing. Now, if they did not fertilize, it's going to be another week or 10 days before they can get a good cutting as far as their hay is concerned. Now, with the storms that moved through, the timber damage has increased over the last times that we have been reporting. Watermelons, as I said, they're slow and going to continue to be so here for another week or two. But when they get here, they always are delicious. The peach crop is doing very well at the present time, though. We talked to some producers there. They're getting their peaches in and getting them shipped out right now. So all in all, we're still in pretty good shape, even though we still have people even 2 weeks out that their electricity is periodically in and out, as we still are making repairs on the lines in this particular area. So we've got a hot summer ahead of us, though. We are expecting it to be that way, but it won't be any different than that has been before. James Duncan reporting from Marshall for the Texas Farm Bureau Roundup.
On Capitol Hill, members of Congress are attempting to address the lingering agricultural labor crisis. Gary Joyner reports on the effort.
Leaders of the U.S. House Committee on Agriculture recently formed a bipartisan agricultural labor working group to investigate the labor challenges facing America's farmers and ranchers. Let's hope the effort is successful. A solution to our nation's farm labor crisis is long overdue. Labor is one of the largest limiting factors facing agriculture. A skilled, reliable workforce is needed to help grow and raise our sustainable food supply. A system that provides long-term stability is critical. Meaningful reform to our nation's guest worker visa program would provide security to farmers and ranchers and their employees. Farm work is challenging, often seasonal and transitory. With fewer and fewer Americans growing up on the farm, it's increasingly difficult to find American workers attracted to these kinds of jobs. Not all farm labor can be replaced by machines either. There are certain farm jobs that require a human touch. U.S. agriculture needs anywhere from 1.5 to 2 million hired workers, and there is a shortage in the workforce. Texas farmers and ranchers have had a help wanted sign out far too long. For Farm Bureau Roundup, I'm Gary Joyner in Waco.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Marketing Service, AMS, is seeking nominees for the Cattlemen's Beef Promotion and Research Board, also known as the Cattlemen's Beef Board, to succeed 27 members with terms that expire in March 2024. The deadline for nominations is July 10th. Nominees are needed to succeed members in Texas and 14 other states, along with the Southwest Unit of California and Nevada, and Importer Unit, assuming no changes are made because of the pending reapportionment of the board's membership. The Cattlemen's Beef Board is authorized by the Beef Promotion and Research Act of 1985. It is composed of 101 members representing 34 separate states, 4 units geographically grouped states, and 1 importer unit. Beef producers within the United States who own cattle, or any importers that import cattle or beef, may be nominated. Producers and importers must be nominated by a certified producer organization and submit a completed application. The Secretary of Agriculture will select individuals from the nominations submitted. A list of certified producer organizations, the nomination form, and information about the Cattlemen's Beef Board are available on the AMS Cattlemen's Beef Board webpage and on the board's website, www.beefboard.org. Since 1966, Congress has authorized the development of industry-funded research and promotion boards to provide a framework for agricultural industries to pool their resources and combine efforts to develop new markets, strengthen existing markets, and conduct important research and promotion activities. That is our program for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Be with us again next time when we travel to the Texas Rolling Plains, the Panhandle, the Concho Valley, and the AgriLife Extension Center in East Texas. For everyone at Farm Bureau Roundup, I'm Tom Nicoletti, and this is the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, let's take a long look at the grains courtesy of John Tuggle & Company. Corpus, Milo in June. Dees plus 85, 1035. Houston 1062. Progresso 883. Brownsville 901. Yellow corn to Corpus in June. September less 20, 468 and a half. We'll call Progresso September less 30, 518 and a half. Number one hard red winter wheat to Houston in June. September even money, $8. And we'll call number one beans to Houston August-September delivery, November less 70, 1273 and a quarter. 797 bale of East Texas, 786 bale of West Texas cotton, 1583 the total. Low price 73.83, high price 75.83, the average 74.83. Neighbor, we're not average. We're the best darn farm show in Texas, all because you're the best darn farm show listener. Thanks for doing so. We appreciate it. Listen to us on our 14 stations or at downonthefarmradio.com. I'm Larry Marble. Good day to you.